You know what the worst month of the year is to start a movie review channel? This one. You know what the worst year is to start a movie review channel? This one. You know who the worst person is to start a movie review channel? I don't know, probably like Ben Shapiro. Anyway, I was not expecting to have anything interesting to talk about for weeks, maybe months, but then I realized that Dumb Money was still in limited release this week. And I was gonna go see Expendables 4. Real quick, reviewed in 5 does not mean 5 minutes. It means reviewed in 5 categories: writing, directing, acting, originality, and entertainment. In each of these categories, I will score this movie anywhere from a 1 to a 5, and then I'll average those scores together to give it a final rating. Literally, I don't even know what the score is. I haven't done the math yet, so if you're not aware, Dumb Money is the story of real events that occurred a couple years ago, where a bunch of Wall Street hedge funds decided to short the stock of GameStop, betting that the company would fail. And they would have gotten away with it too, except that a large community of internet memers led by small-time financial analyst Keith Gill, played by Paul Dano in this movie, decided to buy that shit anyway, driving up the stock price and making the hedge funds eat shit. So what are they gonna do? Take the L? Hell no. They're gonna use their patented
having a lot of money
technique to crush these idiots. So who wins? The billionaire hedge funds or the little man retail investors? That is what this movie is about. But is it good? Well. Dumb Money is written by Laura Schuker-Bloom and Rebecca Angelo. Hope I'm pronouncing that shit right. And they have crafted a very funny script. A script that does a really good job of overcoming the fundamental challenge of this story, which is that a bunch of people staring at stocks on their phones is not very interesting to watch. So they give these characters who are invested, literally and figuratively, friends, family members, co-workers, who basically force them to explain what they're doing with their life savings. And this leads to some really hilarious exchanges, including, but not limited to, the reading of actual Reddit comments posted by real people while this was happening. Some of the funniest moments in this movie are just that. And it is almost enough to distract from what I was most afraid of going into this, which is that ultimately this story is kind of shallow. The marketing is leaning really heavily into this, like, stick it to the 1% angle, which, not gonna lie, rings a little hollow when you realize that this movie is a product designed to make money for the 1%er executives off of the poors buying tickets, but that's none of my business. I mean, we're told a lot how evil the hedge fund managers are, but we never actually see them do anything super evil. And the stakes aren't always clear. Like, at one point, Seth Rogen is like, "Oh, I lost $1 billion today." And I'm like, okay, but how close are you to, like, losing your house? It's not a winner-take-all scenario, so there's not really a defined point where you can say, like, all right, one side is won, the other side is lost. And because of that, after a while, the conflict just kind of fizzles out instead of building up to a point. Which, from what I remember of what actually happened, is kind of how that went too. I'm gonna give the writing in this movie a 3 out of 5. This movie is directed by Craig Gillespie, recently known for directing I, Tonya and Cruella, and now that I know that, I can definitely see it. The editing of this movie is very fast-paced. There's a lot of comedy in the editing. How long he lets certain lines hang out there versus how quickly he cuts them off. And the movie is very montagey for a lot of the runtime. So that pacing definitely helps to distract from the fact that we're, again, mostly just looking at people on their phones. The camera work is not super flashy. There's no fancy long takes or crash zooms or anything like that, which I think was a good choice, focusing on the realism of the story rather than going, hey, look at me behind the camera. So yeah, directing, 4 out of 5. This movie stars Paul Dano, Pete Davidson, Vincent D'Onofrio, America Ferrera, Nick Offerman, Shailene Woodley, Anthony Ramos, Sebastian Stan, Seth Rogen, and more. That is still not all. Paul Dano is excellent in this movie. I don't think anybody's surprised by this. He totally gets that awkward on-camera energy of someone who's just, like, not quite a pro streamer. Of course I know him. He's me. Shailene Woodley has a really comforting presence as his wife. Her role is really to keep him grounded through all the craziness that's going on. America Ferrera and Larry Owens have great chemistry as 2 hospital workers. Anthony Ramos, as a GameStop employee, has an even more hilarious dynamic with his boss, who, I don't know if that was supposed to be like a surprise cameo, because the role is not that hard to find online, but I'm not going to say who it is, because I was surprised. However, no one in this movie is funnier than Pete Davidson. He plays Paul Dano's brother, and whenever they have a scene together, it's just like on the floor, laughing. Here's the thing though, most of these characters don't really have a whole lot to do other than react to the ups and downs of the stock. So other than maybe Paul Dano, when you talk about like iconic performances by any of these actors, this probably is not gonna be the movie that you bring up. And Paul Dano already has like, what, 10 other ones? So 4 out of 5. So this movie is based on a book, The Antisocial Network by Ben Mesrick, which in turn was based on true events. So if I wanted to be an ass, I could be like, 1 out of 5, you didn't come up with this shit. But what I'm really looking for here is, on the scale of Expendables 4 to Everything Everywhere All at Once, how fresh does this movie feel? And the answer is, I mean, like I said, we're not really exploring new themes here. It's about as black and white, rich versus poor as it gets. Although there is something to be said about the way internet culture and memes are portrayed in this movie as something a little more relatable instead of something to just laugh at or look down on. Because that does feel like a fresh take, and I'm glad that movies are kind of starting to go in that direction, but this still kind of distances itself a little bit. It's like some very neoliberal studio executives were like, what if we took these tender eaters and made them more empathetic to the general public? Jolly good, sir. So I would call this film a very tentative step in a very exciting direction. 3 out of 5. So look, all of my deep analytical bullshit aside, this is all you really want to know, right? If I go see this movie, will I have a good time? Hell yeah, you will. Like, story is surface level, whatever. This movie is tight, it's fast-paced, it's not long, and I was laughing a lot. Like, go with a group, the more people that are in the theater, the better time you're gonna have. Entertainment, 4 out of 5, baby. All right, time to add it up. How many of y'all remember how to calculate the average of a set of numbers? 3 plus 4, right? Yeah, 4. I did something wrong, it just gave me 14.8. That's not what was supposed to happen. Okay, yeah, divided by 5. There we go, okay, 3.6. Yeah, that sounds about right. I think this rating system works. And you know, honestly, this made me kind of like want to do more research about what actually went down. Like, if you've seen the movie, let me know what you think of the movie, but like, I want to hear from like the people who were involved in this shit. Comment below, let me know what you thought of this movie, how accurate it is, all that. And yeah, if you enjoyed hearing me talk for however long this was, feel free to subscribe, my boo. I fucking guarantee you no one's made that their catchphrase yet. So, that was my review of Dumb Money. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week with whatever the hell is coming out then. So, yeah. Peace.